Hey, I'm Pat, and in this video, I will be going over badge service in Roblox Studio. Should be a relatively quick video. There's not too much to go over for badges. They're kind of simple. So the first thing I'm going to go over is pretty much giving a player a badge. So I'm going to create a little click detector here. Actually, I'm going to do something different because most of my videos I use a click detector. This one, I'll use a proximity prompt because I don't think I've really gone over this, but it's not too complicated. It has a lot of properties that you can change, like it's the key that you use to activate it, and the distance you need to be, and the hold duration and everything. We'll make the hold duration 1 second. We'll leave it at E, and its action text can be like get badge or something, I guess. Or it's action text, and its object text can be like cool badge. I don't know. I haven't even made the badge yet, so we're gonna do that real quick. Game settings, you're gonna have to save your game to create a badge. And we'll go back to game settings after it's saved, and we can go to monetization maybe? Yeah. Badges used to cost Robux to make, but you can make them for free pretty much now, so I'm gonna go ahead and make one real quick. The random icon I found. Alright, we'll use this. Full badge, preview, purchase for 0 Robux. I believe you're limited to how many you can make, so you can make like a certain amount, and then after that certain amount you'll have to start buying them, but it's alright. So, but that amount like refreshes after a time period, so it's not a big deal. So all I did was make a badge under monetization, and then I refreshed it so it shows me this, and then I copied the ID so that way we got its badge ID. Now we can put a script inside of our part instead of workspace, but you know, a better thing to do really is to keep your server scripts inside server script service, and you can have them all organized under folders, so it can be a little bit more organized with all your scripts in one place instead of having them spread out across the workspace, which can be a little messy. So what we're gonna need is badge service as the first thing, right? So we're gonna get get service, badge service, and then we are going to get our badge that we're going to be awarding them. So our badge is going to be just going to be our badge ID. We can call this badge ID actually instead, and we're going to rename this part to badge giver, I guess. And of course you can do this anyway. You could have a touched event, click detector, and I have a video on touched event for getting the player, because you do need the player to give them like the badge, but it's alright. As long as you have the player, you can give them the badge. So badge giver, and then we'll do the proximity prompt. And for proximity prompt, we just use the triggered event to detect when it's triggered. There's also triggered ended, triggered start or something, things like that, but we're just going to use triggered. I think triggered actually is, I think that's when it completes. I think there's a separate event for it starting. Let me look. Maybe not. No, prompt hold began. You see, that's that. So we're just gonna do triggered. I think triggered is when it starts, and then triggered end is when it stops triggering, but I'm not sure what the difference there is. I doubt it's very much, but all we gotta do is get badge service, and then we gonna call the method called award badge, which is pretty simple, right? And then we just need the player's user ID and the badge ID. So let me get the player here in the parameters. Proximity prompts triggered event just gives you the player as the first parameter. I think that's the only one it gives you as well, so that's good. Kind of like click detector, right? And then we get their user ID, just dot user ID for the player, and then badge ID will be next. And by doing that, all we gotta do is trigger the event, and if they have the badge, it won't give it to them. If they don't, then it will give it to them or whatever, right? I don't know if what I said just made sense. I'm really tired, but it's okay. So we're gonna go ahead and go over here and get the badge. You can see badge awarded, cool badge award, cool. So we got the cool badge, now we're officially cool. Now say we want to make maybe like a door, and the player can only go through this door if they have the cool badge. So it's kind of like a VIP lounge, right? You gotta be cool to get through. So just imagine we gotta, actually we can build a little wall here. There's our wall. I'm a pro builder, by the way, guys, just so you know. I know you're jealous. Alright, so go ahead and build a little wall here pretty much. And we got there a little door. We can make these all a little bit different colors, so we have some color variation here to be even more fancy. And make sure this is all anchored. I believe it is, yeah. Alright, so this will be our door. So we'll name this our cool door. So only cool people can get through this door. And we'll use a proximity prompt to open and close the door. We're not going to go crazy, we're just going to change its can collide and transparency to make it a little bit easier to use. Made it hold duration 0.5. Action text will just be open, or we'll leave it at interact actually, because I don't feel like changing the text. And object text will just be door, obviously, or we could even do cool door. And now inside of our same script, we can pretty much do the same thing where we reference our door in the workspace. So workspace.coolDoor, a proximity prompt that triggered, and we can get our player. Now what we want to do is we want to check if the player that triggered this proximity prompt has the badge, right? So what we'll do is we'll use an if statement, and we'll get our badge service again, and then we'll call a method called user has badge async. So what this does is it checks to see if they own the badge, and will return true or false. As you can tell here, it says it returns a boolean here. That's what this means, right? This is what it returns. So it returns a boolean, which is true or false. So we can just put this inside of our condition of the if statement, and then we just gotta give it the user ID and the badge ID. So we'll go ahead and call this, and we'll do player.userid and our badge ID, and that'll pretty much check if they get the badge. And if they do, then we can do stuff inside of here, right? So theoretically, what we're gonna do actually is we're just gonna make the door pretty much able to walk through for maybe like a half second or something, so that way the player can quickly walk through it and our people can't get through. We could theoretically like fire a remote event to the client and then have the client change its can collide property so only that player can go through it, but I'm not gonna go that crazy in this video. We're just gonna make it simple. So workspace.coolDoor.transparency equals 0.5, and then workspace.coolDoor.canCollide equals false. And then we'll copy this and we'll just have a task.wait for maybe 0.75 seconds, and we'll set it back to true and set its transparency back to 0. And that's it, right? So I'm not sure if it saved me getting the badge because I tested it in the studio, but let's see if it works first try. I made the door a little short, but you can see it works. And it's actually pretty much like the perfect amount of time. Like you can activate it and go through it. It's pretty much like dead on with the amount of time you need. So I'm kind of happy about that. Of course, you can see unless I open it, I can't get through. I can't really show you that I don't have the badge, like, and it doesn't work because I kind of already have the badge to just demonstrate, but you get the idea, right? And if we really wanted to like maybe prevent exploiters or something, we could create a giant box in our like cool area, and we can detect whenever a player touches it. And if a player touches it and they don't own the game pass, you can pretty much like kick them or like reset them, so that way anybody that doesn't have it pretty much cannot enter the area at all. Even if they like teleport in or glitch through with no clip or something, you could do something like that, right? So that's pretty much it for like the basics with badge service. There's another event called get badge info async, which will pretty much give you like the name, description, the image ID, and whether it's an enabled badge or not. which can be kind of useful, I guess, for something like a UI, which lists all the players' badges, and you can pretty much use get badge info async for every badge in the game, and get its name and its icon and everything to display it on a GUI in like a list, pretty much, and see if they own it or not, to show if they own it, whatever, right? You get the idea. So that's kind of a cool thing that you could do with it. I can leave a link in the description for the API if you need to use that. It's not too complicated to use. I can kind of go over it real quick. It's been only 10 minutes. I can go over it real quick. So now what I'll do, how about this? I'll make a GUI real quick, real nice and quick. So we'll have a frame. I'm not going to go crazy with trying to scale it or anything, but I'm going to add a image label inside of it. Our image label is going to display our badge icon, and then we can have the name also displayed there inside of a text label, something like this. I'm not going to go try and make the offset right or anything, but or make the scale instead of offset, whatever. This will be our badge name, and then we'll have one for the description. If I can do description. I don't think I spelled that right. It's okay. It doesn't matter too much. So we'll grab our description and we'll put it down here. And what we'll do is I'll make it so it's scaled and the text is wrapped. So it should theoretically, if we put like this button in here, actually no, that didn't work. Turn off text scales, but we leave it text wrapped, it'll go like multi-line. That's good enough for me. And our badge name, we can also have this scaled, I guess. Now all we gotta do is have a local script in here. I don't think there's a method for detecting, like getting all their badges in the game. I could be wrong, but I don't think there is. So we'll just have to do it a different way. So when the player joins, we'll get the player. If I can speak English, I'm gonna leave a link to the API, which will give you example code on how to use it and things like that. It's not too complicated. It's kind of similar to like the other events. It's not, I mean, I've gone over so many events in my videos. It's not like, it shouldn't be hard to understand, right? So that's pretty much it for that. If I want to, I guess I can make like a challenge. How about this? Why don't you have like, for a challenge, what you could have, say you could have this, right? But instead, you have to walk on it to get the badge, and you have multiple of them, maybe like 3 of them or so. And with that, you also have a little UI list, pretty much with a frame or a scrolling frame, and it'll display whether or not a player owns a badge. So if the player owns the badge, it'll display that, and if they don't, it won't. You could use badge awarded event if you want to. You could look up the API and figure it out, or you could try and use like a remote event or something like that instead. So pretty much, or not a remote event, a bindable event, I guess would be, oh no, yeah, a remote event. So you'd have this part and you walk over it to get the badge, and then it'll display on like the GUI whether or not you own the badge. I remember a while ago I did a commission for somebody to actually pretty much do something like this, where they had like a GUI to display all the owned badges and stuff. It was like a find the game, but yeah, so that's pretty much your challenge. I got like maybe 3 minutes left. I don't know if I want to make this video super long. Maybe I won't go over the solution. I mean, it would be a kind of cool thing. Alright, I can kind of give you like the idea of how I would do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this badge giver to just be a normal part. And what I can actually do is make a folder, right? Inside this folder, we'll put all of our badge givers. We'll name this one cool badge. And I don't think I actually went over attributes in any of my videos, so this will be a good use case to go over attributes. And under our cool badge part, right, we're going to add an attribute. This is at the bottom of the properties tab. We just click add attribute, and what we do is we'll give it an attribute called badge ID, and we'll make it type number. So all we gotta do now is put our badge ID in there. So now we pretty much gave it a custom property called badge ID, which has this ID. However, we can't just access it like any other property. We have to access it a different way. So what we're gonna do now inside of our server script is we're gonna actually loop through all of our badge givers inside of our folder. So we'll just call this badge givers, and what we'll do is for I badge giver in I pairs workspace dot badge givers get children. So we'll get all the children inside of this folder, right, which will theoretically have like multiple badge givers. I'm just going to do one for this video, but you get the idea. So for every badge giver in our badge giver folder, we're going to create a touched event for that badge giver. So once it's touched, we'll connect it to our function. And it's okay if you don't have autocomplete on the touched event because it doesn't know that this is a part necessarily. You could use type checking, but I'm not going over type checking, sorry. So once we're hit, what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the hit's parent is a player, and if it is, then we'll give them the badge. So local player equals game get service players, get player from character, hit parent. So what we're doing is we're getting the character through hit.parent, and then we're using get player from character to get the player instance. And if we have the player, then what we'll do is we'll check to see if we had the player or not, because this could return nil if there's not a player, because it could touch like a normal part or whatever. So if it is a player, then what we'll do is badge service award badge player.user ID badge ID. So pretty much what this will do, right, is it's not too complicated. It'll loop through every badge part in our folder, and it'll attach a touched event, or it'll connect the function to each of their touched events, and for each one it'll check to see if something touched it, and if something touched it that's a player, then it will give the player the badge. Oh no, this isn't right. So what we need to do is badge giver get attribute. So get attribute pretty much gets the attribute with the name that we give it. So we named our attribute badge ID, so that's the name we're going to give it, badge ID, and this will return the value of this attribute. So in this case, it'll be the ID of our badge, which is exactly what we want. So this will actually work for each badge giver individually. Each one will have their own separate badge ID, right? So we could give them each a different attribute with a different badge ID, as long as they're still named badge ID, the attribute's named badge ID, right? So that's pretty useful, and it's very clean, right? We don't have to have one script inside of each badge giver, which can be very messy, and it can be hard to fix any errors in our script or anything, because we would have to go through each badge giver and change the script for each one. In this case, we just have one little block of code controlling all the badge givers in the game, which is really useful, right? You could use collection service, but I haven't gone over collection service, so we're not using that in this video, sorry. So we're about 22 minutes in, and I haven't gone over the GUI part yet, but it's not actually all that complicated. For the GUI part, all I would do really is, for this, I would actually fire a remote event to the client to tell the client that they earned a badge, and then on the client, what I'll do is I'll just update the frame to say that they own the badge instead of saying they don't own the badge. And what you could just have is a frame with something like this inside of it, and you can have multiple of them inside of it for each badge. And now that can be a little tedious to create, so what you could do is just create one of these, right? And then you can have a table with all of your badge IDs, all the badges that can be earned in the game. Or something you can do is you can loop through all of your badge giver parts and then get their badge IDs, and then store all their badge IDs inside of a table. And then you can loop through that table using get badge info async and then you can clone this like little template thing, right? And then adjust each template to have the matching ID information for the badge. Now it sounds a little complicated, but hopefully that makes sense. If you replay that maybe like 20 times, you might understand what I was saying. But I don't think what I said was too complicated. And I'm not going to try and like re-explain it again because we're like 24 minutes in, and I don't want this to be an hour-long video. So hopefully this video helped you understand badge service. If it did, thanks for watching. If it didn't, sorry, whatever. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.